Hi, today we're going to demonstrate the use of our new clear vinyl product for sealing inkjet prints so that they can be epoxy domed. So what we've got here is an inkjet print. Now I like using glossy photo paper for this because it's nice and durable. You don't have to worry about if you get any epoxy on the edges or you want to glue it in, it doesn't absorb anything because it's almost plastic-like. So that's the best thing to use. I prefer the Kodak brand, but any of them that are glossy and they're slick, and you can tell they won't absorb water. If you put a drop of water on it, it just beads off. Anyways, that's what I'm going to use there. And this is our clear vinyl material as it comes. You're going to need obviously a pair of scissors to cut it with. And this is a plastic squeegee used for sign vinyl application, and you can use anything that's got a little bit of flex to it and is a soft edge. It's plasticky edge. You could almost use a credit card type material, but you want something that's got a little bit of pressure to it, so it doesn't flex too much. So, anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece of vinyl first for this, and you want to leave plenty of vinyl around the edges. And the reason is because if you cut this right to size, you're going to have real problems because you've got to be able to grab a hold of the vinyl, and anywhere you touch on the underside of this vinyl is going to have your fingerprints, and you don't want that over an image. Plus, if you have a cutout like this and you cut it a little extra, when you put it down, you put it on a table, and it'll help hold everything in place. And it'll stick to the paper fine, but you'll be able to peel it off of the table with no problem. So here we go. Just start at the corner of this here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down just on this edge, down here, and I'm going to attach it to the table. Now this is the important part. Don't lay this down on your print. Take your burnishing tool like this and just slowly work it forward with a lot of downward pressure. Okay? It's important to have a lot. Now I kind of screwed up that last one there, but that's okay. These first two came out absolutely perfect. And you can see there's no air bubbles underneath. If you get air bubbles trapped under this vinyl, they're going to look silvery when it comes to doming them, when they're finished being domed. So it's a good idea to go ahead and be sure you get all of the air bubbles out as you apply the vinyl. Now, for this particular use, what I've got is a paper punch, a 1-inch round paper punch, and I just put it on there upside down and look through the device until it's perfectly centered and pop it. Okay, I had a little problem there with my paper punch, but I got several of these punched out, and now we're going to go ahead and dome them. And what I've got here is I've got my very well used glass doming tray, and it's got a little bit of a tacky adhesive on it from our removable adhesive. And when you spray that stuff on, you need to let it dry for about 5 minutes. If you don't let it dry for 5 minutes, it becomes more of a permanent adhesive, and you don't want that. And the reason for that is you just want to tack these down a little bit when you dome them, so that they don't curl up when they get a little bit warm and while they're curing. If they do, the epoxy will run over the edge. Okay, so I'll put these down. It just keeps them nice and flat. Okay, and just you don't want any fingerprints on here either. So now we're ready to add the epoxy. Got my epoxy here in our dispensing bottle. And I'm going to start off right here. Go right around the edge of that. Now, if you've watched our other videos, you know that you always want to leave open space because the epoxy tends to fill in more than you think it would. And the biggest mistake people make is adding too much epoxy and having it run off the edge. The epoxy is fairly thick, and it will, given a few minutes, it will find its own level and create a nice dome. Okay, so if you have to, you can always add more. This first one I did is filled in completely. This one is not quite filled in, so I'll put just a little bit there. Now it's connected, so it's leveling out. This one doesn't have quite enough, so I can add just a little bit to it. And you can always use a tip to drag the epoxy out to the edges too if you need to. But you really shouldn't have to. Okay, so they're all three down there now. Now I will remove any air bubbles with our little torch here. And what you do is you start the torch and then just quick little stabs. Don't get too crazy with it. And really good light helps. What you want to do is look at this from different angles with good light overhead. And what it'll do is it'll allow you to see if there's any bubbles. I don't see any bubbles in here, but this one here does have a very tiny piece of dust in the top surface I can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our little metal needle tool and I just touch it to the dust and it takes it off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cure these in the oven for 20 minutes and I'll be right back. And here is our finished product. You can see, nicely domed, and you can now adhere this to a lapel pin or keychain or anything you want to. And so that's how you can now dome inkjet prints. Thank you.